Hey guys, have you ever looked around and felt like something's changed? That the world your parents once believed in isn't the same anymore? The dream that once built America, the dream of freedom, prosperity, and opportunity, now feels more like an illusion. What if I told you that the story of modern America is starting to sound eerily similar to the rise and fall of every great empire before it? From Rome to Britain, they all rose with ambition, peaked with pride, and crumbled under their own weight. And maybe, just maybe, we're watching history repeat itself. Before we begin, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because today, we're going to unravel the story of how the American dream was born, how it conquered the world, and how it's now quietly dying. To understand the fall, we first have to understand the dream. America wasn't founded as an empire. It was born as an idea that promised anyone, regardless of their background, the chance to rise, to build, and to succeed. It wasn't just a land of freedom, it was a land of possibility. When the first settlers arrived, they didn't just bring tools and supplies, they brought hope. Hope that life could be better, fairer, more equal. A new world where kings and queens didn't rule your destiny, you did. And that idea grew into something powerful. It became the heartbeat of a nation, a belief that through hard work and courage, anyone could own a piece of the American dream. By the 20th century, that dream became more than an ideal. It became an economy. Factories rose, skyscrapers touched the clouds. The world watched as the United States transformed from a collection of colonies into the richest, most powerful nation on earth. But somewhere between the dream and the dollar, something changed. The dream became a business, and like all businesses, it needed growth. Endless, unstoppable growth. After World War II, America stood alone as the undisputed superpower. Europe was in ruins. Asia was rebuilding. The U.S. economy exploded. Jobs were plenty, wages were high, and optimism filled the air. Families bought homes in the suburbs, cars lined driveways, and televisions flickered with promises of the good life. This was the golden age of the middle class, the beating heart of the American dream. But prosperity came with a price: consumption. People were told to buy more, own more, and spend more. And slowly, debt became a lifestyle. The American dream shifted from building wealth to buying status. And in that shift, the seeds of collapse were quietly planted. In the 1970s, something began to change. Inflation rose, jobs moved overseas. The balance between work, wages, and living costs started to crumble. The dollar was no longer backed by gold. It was backed by trust. And trust is fragile. For the first time, Americans started to feel the cracks in the system. The gap between rich and poor began to widen. Corporations grew stronger, while families grew weaker. The dream, once a promise, became a competition, and only the few who played the system right could still win. By the 1980s, something strange happened. Even though wages stagnated, people seemed richer. Why? Because credit replaced income. Credit cards, mortgages, and student loans became the new lifeline. America entered an age of artificial wealth, where prosperity wasn't earned, it was borrowed. Wall Street loved it, banks loved it, and the government loved it even more. Because as long as people kept borrowing, the illusion of the dream stayed alive. But illusions don't last forever. When the bills come due, the dreamers wake up. Then came 2008. The moment the mask fell, the housing market collapsed, banks failed, and millions lost their homes, jobs, and savings. For the first time in generations, Americans realized something terrifying. The system wasn't built for them. It was built on them. The dream had turned into a machine, one that thrived on debt, greed, and speculation. Wall Street got bailed out. The people didn't. And yet, the story didn't end there. The Federal Reserve stepped in, printing trillions of dollars, keeping the system alive. Stocks rebounded. Billionaires got richer. But the middle class, they never recovered. It wasn't a recovery. It was a reset, a new chapter in a repeating story of empires that refuse to learn from their past. If this sounds familiar, it's because it's happened before. Every great empire believed it was different. Rome thought it would last 1,000 years. The British Empire claimed the sun would never set on its dominion. And yet, both fell. Not from invasion, but from within. Their people grew complacent. Their leaders grew greedy. Their currencies inflated, and their values eroded. Now, look around. America, drowning in debt, divided in politics, obsessed with consumption, is walking the same path. The question is no longer if history will repeat itself, but when. Empires don't collapse overnight, they decay slowly, from the inside out. When material wealth replaces purpose, when truth becomes entertainment, when division replaces unity, that's when the fall begins. Today, the average American household carries record debt. The cost of education, healthcare, and housing has outpaced income for decades. Young generations are losing faith in the dream altogether. Because how can you chase opportunity when you're buried in loans before you even begin? The dream that once inspired millions now feels like a distant memory, a ghost of a promise that no longer fits reality. And while people struggle, power consolidates. A handful of corporations now control more wealth than most nations. The government prints money out of thin air, hoping the illusion holds. But every printed dollar weakens the very foundation it stands on. Trust. As the world shifts toward digital currencies, automation, and AI, the question grows louder. What happens to a society when hard work no longer guarantees reward? That's not just economics, it's identity. The very soul of the American dream is being rewritten. But here's the twist. The fall of an empire isn't always the end. Sometimes it's a reset. Every collapse clears the stage for Rome gave birth to Europe. Britain's fall gave rise to the modern world. Maybe America's struggle isn't death, it's transformation. Maybe the dream isn't dying, it's evolving. Because the true American dream was never about luxury or wealth. It was about courage, resilience, and hope, values that no economic collapse can destroy. The dream might fall, but it will rise again, in a new form for a new generation, because history doesn't end. It echoes. Until someone finally listens. For decades, the American economy has lived on borrowed time and borrowed money. Government debt has climbed beyond imagination. Corporate buybacks inflate markets, and citizens carry credit loads heavier than ever before. It's not wealth that sustains the system, it's momentum. And momentum without substance eventually collapses. The dollar still stands, but its strength now depends on faith, not fundamentals. Faith that the government will pay its bills. Faith that markets will always rise. Faith that tomorrow will somehow fix today. But when faith replaces discipline, decline is inevitable. At the top of the pyramid, wealth multiplies without labor. The digital economy rewards scale, not sweat. A single algorithm can generate more profit in an hour than a factory of workers can in a year. For the middle class, wages stagnate, while expenses soar. They're one medical bill, one rent hike, one pink slip away from collapse. And for the younger generation, the dream feels like a rigged game. They are told to study and hustle, but find themselves trapped in debt before they even begin. They are working harder than ever for smaller rewards. This isn't capitalism, it's financial feudalism, where opportunity is leased, not owned. As wealth divides, so does culture. Entertainment replaces education. Noise drowns out nuance. We celebrate visibility over value, and opinions over facts. Empires fall when truth becomes optional and distraction becomes policy. They fall when citizens stop believing their efforts matter. And yet, history shows something remarkable. Out of every cultural breakdown comes renewal. The Renaissance was born from the Dark Ages. Revolutions rise when silence no longer works. Perhaps America, too, is approaching its reckoning. Across the ocean, new powers are emerging. China builds cities faster than America repairs bridges. India and Southeast Asia are rising with youthful ambition. The world is no longer waiting for American leadership, it's diversifying away from it. In the mirror of history, America now stands where Britain once stood, still mighty, but no longer alone, still respected, but no longer unquestioned. Rome didn't fall in a day. It fell in the minds of its people long before invaders reached its gates. Citizens traded duty for comfort, principle for profit. The American dream risks the same fate, not because of external enemies, but because of internal exhaustion. The pursuit of happiness has become the pursuit of more. But what if the next chapter isn't decline, but rediscovery? Every generation faces a test. For America, this one is existential. Can a nation addicted to consumption rediscover creation? Can it rebuild faith in community, fairness, and purpose? Technology offers both threat and hope. AI, green energy, and digital innovation could either widen the gap or heal it. The same power that destabilizes economies can also rebalance them, if guided by vision instead of greed. It's not the end of the American dream. It's the moment it must evolve. The next version of the dream won't be about material success. It will be about meaning, about redefining prosperity as balance, not excess, about measuring progress, not by GDP, but by well-being, fairness, and sustainability. Because the truest form of wealth, isn't what you own, it's what you build for others. If America rediscovers that truth, it will not just survive history's cycle, it will break it. So, as we stand in this moment between past and future, ask yourself, is the dream dying, or are we waking up from the illusion of what it became? History doesn't repeat by accident. It repeats because we refuse to listen. But this time, maybe we can. If this story moved you, if you believe the lessons of history still matter, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who still believes the dream can rise again. Because empires fall, but ideas, they never truly die. They just wait for someone brave enough to rebuild them.